everyone, if you are new to sewing and want a wonderful beginner's project, this video is for you. At least that is my hope. This is the Creation by Michie pattern number 136, but I made it with enclosed shoulders instead of the button shoulders, although I do like the button shoulders as well. And if you are new to my channel, check out that description box. All the materials, timestamps, and a bunch of other goodies are linked below. So to begin, you'll have 2 bodice fronts to cut on the fold, as well as 2 bodice backs cut on the fold. Then I cut 2 rectangles the full width of the fabric. One of these rectangles is going to be my skirt front, while the other is going to be my skirt back. And I will alter the width to fit my bodice, and I will get into that more later, but for now I'm just keeping it the full width of the fabric. And then I cut that length to 21 inches, but check your little one and make sure to include a 1/2 inch for the waist seam and however deep of a hem you'd like. So alter it to your desires. So I give my fabric a clip and then I rip it along the grain. Then I'm creating a bodice ring, as I like to call it. You'll have your front pieces across from each other and then your back pieces across from each other, and then you'll sew them together in that order at the shoulder seams. And then I opened up those shoulder seams and gave it a pressing. Then I folded the fronts together so the right sides are touching. One of these fronts will be the front of the dress, while the other will become that front lining. And then the backs will fold onto themselves, and half of each back will be the back of the bodice, while the other half will be the lining of the back of the bodice. I hope all that's making sense. So from there, you can sew along that neckline from one center back along to the other center back, and then you can sew around those armholes, but don't sew down those side seams, just do the armholes. Then you can clip all of those curves, and when it comes to clipping the curves, you generally want to do this every 1/2 inch or so. But if you flip your garment right sides out and have some pulling along any point on that curve, you need to add a clip. Yeah, Henry. Sorry, I'm having some help with the voiceover. You'll need to add a clip there so that pulling will go away. Basically, it's just not open up enough to that larger diameter. Then I pull the back bodice through the front bodice to turn the bodice right sides out. Yeah, Henry. I'm sorry, he's a very talkative baby. Next, I attach the piping, and now this is optional, and of course it could be lace edging or ribbon, whatever floats your boat. But I did this piping and I'm cutting it to length. Well, I'm adding about maybe an inch to help with handling it as I sew it onto the bottom edge of my fabric. I'm just sewing it on that bodice fabric, not the bodice lining, okay? Keep that lining apart from this seam. And when I do those back bodices, I just angle the piping off so the raw edge of the piping is going to be enclosed. Yeah, it'll be enclosed once the lining is sewn down. And then I move on to that skirt. I decided to do inverted box pleats. They are one of my favorites, and you'll see me folding those and pinning them into place. But of course, you could do a gathered skirt or even pleat the skirt up for smocking. It's a feather whale corduroy, so it'll go through a pleater nicely. So once I was done with those inverted box pleats, I basted over them so they would stay in place. Then I held it up to my front bodice, and I used that to get the width for my skirt. Remember how I said I was going to tidy this up later on? This is what I meant. So I'm pinning this skirt onto the bodice, and then I'm seeing where basically the skirt is too big for the bodice is what I'm trying to say. So I'm clipping the extra, and then I rip down the skirt so it is now the correct width. And then I sewed the skirt front together with the front of the bodice, keeping that front bodice lining out of the way. And I don't want to include that lining into this seam. And then I gave everything a really good ironing and ironed under the bodice lining's raw edge about 1/2 inch. And I'll sew this down by hand later on using those machine stitches. And I do have a detailed video on this method that is linked below. Now I can repeat the same thing to the back of the skirt, but first I'll need to put in a placket. Now to do this, I iron the back of the skirt in half to find the center back mark. I cut about 6 inches down that iron crease marking center back and put a placket using the continuous placket method, and I do have a detailed video on that is linked below as well. So then I repeat the same process as basting those inverted box pleats and then attaching the back of the skirt. Yeah, the back of the skirt to the back of the bodice. Again, making sure to keep the lining out of the sewing. Once again, I clipped up the width on each side of the back of the dress and ripped the excess fabric away. Now from there, I joined the sides of the dress using French seams, and I have a detailed video on how to do French seams that is linked below. And after that, I folded up the hem and sewed that into place. I sewed it using the sewing machine, but you could have done it by hand if you wanted to. And after I put in some buttons on the back and hand sewed that lining down, this was my finished dress. I hope this video was helpful. If y'all have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. And as always, hey, we appreciate y'all for watching and we will hope to catch y'all next time. Huh, Henry?